Hey guys, this is a video to remind you about how to order fractions. And you might be asked to order fractions from least to greatest or from greatest to least. So make sure you follow those instructions carefully. We have reviewed that the number on top is called the numerator and the number on the bottom is called the denominator. If you're not totally clear on that, then talk to me and I'll give you some tricks to remember. The numerator is going to represent the parts and the denominator represents the whole number of pieces. So, for example, on this delicious pepperoni pizza that I drew, you can see that there are 3 parts that are shaded in out of a possible 8 slices of pizza. So the numerator is 3, denominator is 8. If you're ordering fractions that have common denominators, so that means if we use the pizza example again, there was a pizza that was cut into 5 pieces, as you can see by the denominators, and the numerator tells us how many pieces out of that fraction you would actually get. So it's pretty easy to organize these because we're talking about the same denominator. So if asked to organize them from the most pieces to the least pieces, then you would say that 7 out of 5 has the most pieces, has more than a whole pizza. Next would be 4 pieces out of 5 pieces, 3 pieces out of 5 pieces, and 2 pieces out of 5 pieces. So common denominators are kind of easy to compare because you're dealing with the same size stuff. Now if we look at unlike denominators, things can get a little bit trickier. It's trickier because you're comparing slightly different sizes of pieces, I guess, based on the whole. So what you want to do is you want to try to make those denominators like, and we're going to do that by applying our skills from our multiples and factors unit, and we're actually going to find a common multiple that can work with them, and we want to find the lowest common multiple, which we're actually going to call the LCD, which we'll talk about in a minute. So if I look at 5, 6, and 3, I know that 30 is the lowest common multiple of all those. And I just did that one in my head, but we'll do it together in the next one, okay? So if I want to, I'm going to eventually want to have these end up having 30 as the denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what I would need to do to those denominators to turn it into 30 pieces. So I'm kind of just making an equivalent fraction, or fractions that's the same relationship. So if I go through, I know I would have to multiply 5 times 6. So whatever I do to the denominator, I'm going to do to the numerator. So that's going to give me 18. 6 times 5 is going to give me 25. And here it's going to be times 10, which would give me that 30. And then that's going to be that. And then I can look at this easily. Now I have the same denominators, and I can say this one is going to be the largest, this is going to be the second largest, and this one's going to be the smallest. So what I did on that last one was called finding the least common denominator. And it's a really good thing to remember when you're trying to compare fractions because it'll make it a lot easier for you. So here I've started to do, this is another example. So I've been asked to compare these 3 fractions, so 3/4, 5/3, and 1/6. And right off the top, I'm having a hard time comparing them because they have different denominators. So I've decided to just list out my multiples, and I'm going to try to find the lowest common multiple, which I know will be my lowest common denominator. So I've already done it for 4, so I really just did 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, and on. I did it for 3, and I'm going to do it with you for 6. So 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 12 times 3, 18. And I'm going to stop there because I've already noticed that 12 appears here, and 12 appears here, and 12 appears here. So of these 3 denominators, 12 is going to be the lowest common denominator. So my next step is I'm trying to figure out how can I end up, what do I have to do to my denominators to turn them into 12? So just like in that last example, I'm going to do 3/4. I'm going to multiply that denominator to get it to 12 by 3. I'm going to do the same thing to the numerator, which is going to give me 9/12. Here, same thing, this time I'm going to do it times 4. times 4, which is going to give me 20 over 12 times 2, 6 times 2, 1 times 2, maybe 2 over 12. And this time, let's figure out the order from least to greatest. So the smallest number of pieces is going to be 1 over 12, so that's my least, my second largest, and my greatest. Here's a bit of a different example where we have common numerators. So we have 1/3, 1/2, and 1/5. And I'm going to do a little picture so you can see what that would look like. So in this case, we have 1 piece out of 3. In our next example, we have 1 part out of 2. And in our last example, we have 1 part out of 5. So just take a look at those and see if you can draw any conclusions about how you would order them from greatest to least. So kind of the understanding is that with a common numerator, the fraction with the smaller denominator is actually larger. Is actually the larger fraction. So if you were getting 1/2 of a pizza, you'd be getting more than 1/4. So the smaller the denominator, the larger the fraction. And I have one more visual to show you here. So if I had 3/6, that would be 1, 2, 3 pieces compared to having 1, 2, 3 out of 4. That is the end of this video. If any of this was confusing, you can try rewatching the video or come and ask me any questions that you might have.